Hello, everybody. See if I can get myself in frame here. Working on it. Good evening. Hello, Doughboy. Hi, Trish. Hi, Kaya. Deborah. Hi. Good evening to you too, Amber. Sarah. Good to see you. So unique. Hello, Jacqueline. Oh, pretty name. I love that name. Cat. Hi. Hello. And another cat. Hello. Nancy. Hi. Jolene. Good evening. Kristen, hello. Good to see you. Lisa, Shannon, Murray. Everybody, run. Everybody, that's it. Murray's here. Let's go. Elizabeth. Oh, I know. Oh, Amber. I know. I know. Oh my gosh, the headlines, right? Kimberly. Yeah, our headlines are just like, what? Hello, John. Good to see you. Tat from Oregon. Oh, very nice. Um, Costa. Sorry about that. I'm not gonna get that name right. Yikes! Like the headlines. Oh, good. Yeah, it's a few minutes of just saying, "Hey, what's up?" Time to make good trouble. Oh, I love it. Excellent. Yes. Yes. Welcome in, everyone. I told my therapist today I'm going to be keeping her busy. True story, though. Right. All right. Yes. Well, welcome in, everyone. Welcome. Oh my gosh. Today, honestly, it's hard to kind of keep up with what's going on because it's just so crazy. It's so ridiculous. I'm like, that can't be right. So after double and triple checking, like I've just lost an hour of my life trying to figure out how it's going. But that's all right. We'll get it sorted. Yeah, the whole country needs therapy. True. He's already getting sued. Oh my gosh. I tell you what, Kristen, he's got so many suits against him right now. I told you the AGs in a lot of states, so the attorney generals and the ACLU, like they already had it ready to go. They were like, look, just plug in the date today, add your signature, and we're filed. We've got a temporary restraining order, already in the birthright situation. And the more I go through these orders, and we'll continue to go through some more orders tonight, the more I see that they just don't even, they're not even, yes. I'm not sure the best way to describe it other than there's really no act that they're saying needs to be done. And, in order for certain things to do, it's like, you gotta have something to go for. An ICE raid in New Jersey, yeah. So I would say, yeah, restraining order. Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it, Lisa? But unfortunately, no. So here's the deal with the ICE raids, everyone. I really want you to remember, or even take some time to go back on the tube of you. Well, hey, we're in a safe zone. So on YouTube, I can say what I want here. And take a look at how those raids did after he was voted in as president the first time, because you're going to see a lot of the same kinds of things here. We first made all those videos to help lay the groundwork. Right. Did you transfer them over? Yes, I've transferred quite a few over. So I do have a lot of them. I'll probably put them in a playlist. Actually, I'm working to kind of put a whole bunch of them into like one so people can just fast forward. But absolutely, we need protection order for, it's true story. So, but when it comes to ICE, everyone, I mean, in all of the things going on with the immigration horrors, just remember, he did this before. We went through a time when a lot of people were too scared to leave their home, right? Too scared to go to the grocery store. And that was the reality that we lived in for a few years. So I have no doubt that that will be the reality that we return to. And I think some people forgot about that when they went in and voted. But there you go. There you go. Yes, yes. Also, another way to do it on TikTok is to put in whatever question that you have. So, like, I have a rules of evidence playlist, but if there's a specific concept you're looking for, like pretrial motions or criminal trial process, you can put that in and then my name, and that should pull up the post that I've made on it. So that will be helpful until I get everything sorted out over here. Starting to dig tunnels. Well, can I get in on that? I want to go through a tunnel. Wasn't it? Oh, I know it. Professional spoonie. I know it. I truly, truly do understand. Still children who have not been reunited. Well, yeah, that was never sorted out, was it? It was just something that we all were dealing with. But yeah, I just remember everyone flew down to the border and was like, this is awful. And then flew home, and then everyone forgot about it, and we're going to be there again. So I'm looking for the beginning. I need that foundation. Okay, I got you. So what might work then as a better search engine for you is to pick a type of law, like constitutional law or criminal law, and then put my name in, and that should pull up some of my older ones. I'm just trying to think of how to get you to the older posts without having to scroll all the way down again. So hopefully that. And then, of course, I'm sure you've already looked at all of my playlists that I put together at the time. I've got some of those in there too. So yes, tunneling back to Mexico. Oh, everybody, I know. So, well, now as we're talking about this here, everyone, what were some of the biggest headlines that you saw today that is worrisome? What do you think was the the worst of the headlines that you had today? Reminds me of The Great Escape. Oh, I know. I don't know. It reminds me of, yeah. It's not good. It's not good. Deportation for anyone who has been here less than 2 years. Yes. Ending FEMA. Yes. Great channel. Great. Oh, thanks so much. I appreciate that. He's a puppet. Yes. Yes. Try to stay away from the news. And that is smart. The health stuff. Yeah. So let me just mark it down here. So we've got it. We have the health stuff. We've got the FEMA, and then removal for only if you've been here for 2 years. All right. So yeah. I saw a sad video last night about Miami. Oh yeah. Good evening. Welcome, Tay. Good to see you. Communication ban for all federal health agencies. Yeah, so I stopped watching anything. I don't blame you. They're restricted now. Yeah. So, this was again foretold in the manifesto. So let's start first with the health stuff. There were a lot of things. And the last time when I was on last night, when I went through that huge list of all of those different orders that were revoked that were Biden's, there were several health pieces to that. So the prescription drug piece was in there along with other things. So those have just been revoked, just pulled straight out. And it is frustrating. We hate to see that. But, again, with how our government works, the president is not making laws. All they can do is work with those administrative executive agencies, right? And what we saw in P25 was a way that they were trying to dismantle, right, the executive branch. They wanted to get rid of a whole bunch of stuff. And what happens when you go in and write a manifesto is that you can find all of those little weak spots as you're going through it. And so that's really what it seems like to me, is that we're finding, or they're calling out weak links here and pulling them out and showing them to the public, which I don't know that that's a bad thing. But what's not good is when you start having titles that are so troublesome and then no explanation, then that becomes way overwhelming for sure. signed so many EOs in the final days, knowing that they would be overturned immediately. I'm not sure. Again, I think that a lot of presidents, it's kind of a tradition. A lot of presidents will sign a whole bunch in on their last few days. So, maybe he was thinking it'd be so much that he'd miss a few things, but trying to allow for a third term. No, that cannot happen. I'm glad you brought it up. But no, no third terms. That would be a clear violation of the U.S. Constitution. And the Supreme Court has written about that already. Actually, in the immunity decision, I believe, stating, hey, 2 terms and you're maxed out on that. So, yes. So, I've got the executive orders here, everyone, and kind of the table of contents. Again, these executive orders have not been put into the Federal Register yet, just because it's only been 3 days, right? So he's just setting these out on his White House website. So that's how we have these to begin with. But they're not numbered yet. At some point, we will get numbers, and I'll be able to put the numbers together, which will be nice. Hello, Kathleen. Welcome. Food in my mouth, so weird words. I'll go for it. Do the terms have to be consecutive? No, they don't. And we had Grover Cleveland, right, who was not consecutive. Although we've got to kind of keep in mind, I think Grover Cleveland was before the amendment was passed to do that. Go look at them. It's upsetting. Yeah, I agree. So, all right. The next, let's go ahead and dive in, though. There are a few issues, and it's not just me. I'm talking with other attorneys as well. And what we're finding overall is that we don't really know who wrote this stuff because it's just so ambiguous, the language, and is not complying with the Constitution. Oh, thank you, Lori. Yay! We've got a little, oh my gosh, is it a fox? Is that a fox or is it a chipmunk? It could be a chipmunk. I'm for either. Caught you on YouTube. Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you're here, Brian. I'm so glad you made it. Okay, it's a fox. Thank you so much. I'm for all the furry creatures, so that's fine. What I've done then is I put it together a table of contents. It's a mess, but going from the very last or latest filings to the oldest. All right, so we've got the 21st, the 20th, and going backwards like that because I think it's just a little bit easier for me. Again, there's no real organization to this because it's not been put into the register yet, which is a bit annoying. Now, one of the things I've heard about too, everyone, that a lot of people have been talking about has been the executive order that was revoked regarding the equal employment opportunity, right? Have people heard about this one yet? Offer to Puerto Rico to join Canada. Oh, that's nice. Although I don't know. Oh, thank you so much, Karen. Oh my goodness gracious. So, all right, has anyone been listening to that saying, hey, it was this executive order was revoked and we don't really understand what happened? If you're interested, the executive order that they're talking about is 11246. All right, and this was passed September 24th of 1965 originally, and then it's just kind of added to multiple times. And it's a non-discrimination piece. Now, remember, our executive orders are applicable only to federal government places. So federal employees and people working with the federal employees. So keep that in mind on the one hand. Now, on the other hand, just as a friendly reminder, executive orders are only going to be able to have power over prior executive orders or any kind of federal agency. So it's actually quite limited. It seems like, while they are eliminating equal employment opportunities, but that's not true. They're talking specifically about the federal government. One of the, one of the biggest groups of people that are going to be impacted by Mr. Trump's situation are going to be federal employees. All right. So when we're talking about um, most of what's going on here, we're talking about federal employees. So those are the ones that you have to think like, wow, that's not great for them. And that's true. But keep your eye on that. It's not that the entire equal employment opportunity laws have been changed, because that would have to be done through Congress. It's just the suggestions, rulings, directions given to federal offices here are being revoked through his anti-DEI situation. All right, so all job postings have been taken down. Yes, because we've got a freeze. There's a hiring freeze on that, the federal employees. So really, a lot of this, I don't know if any of you are federal employees, and I would say don't out yourself, because we don't know what's going to happen. But the federal employees are going to be hit the hardest when it comes to those kinds of orders. Now, we know too the LGBTQIA plus community is targeted. Our immigrants are being targeted. Oh, thank you so much. Yes. Oh, I have it. I've got Tang tonight, everybody. Look at this. I have Tang. It's a Tang night. It's a Tang night because things are crazy. Okay, thank you. Probationary hires too. Tang night, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy tonight. Yes, and Chris, that's correct. I mean, if you just look at the numbers, that is absolutely correct. But of course, we have to remember that white women also have we're also discriminated against, right? So, that's a whole nother category of people discriminated against just by being a woman. I signed up for the World Health Order newsletter. Oh, good. Very concerned about the health media freeze. Right. And there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of anti-science going on as well. So, tainty. That's funny. Oh, I don't know. Ooh, well, maybe I could try it. I've done lemon before. Right. Yes, exactly. So, but it's interesting, isn't it, that so let's just clarify too. We've got this affirmative action, which really was kind of a new thing in the late 80s, early 90s, and then it went forward, kind of morphed into a couple of different things, and also had a piece of DEI. And then, of course, we had the Harvard case last year from the U.S. Supreme Court, and they said for practices for choosing students, forget about it. And since then, the dominoes have been continuing to fall. So this is not, this isn't something new. It's just kind of a, acknowledgement. There's just a lot of lights being shown. So let me take you through here some of the executive orders, just the titles of them, and then we'll come back and we'll pick through and pick out which ones we need to really talk about. Right, 1 to 2 years. So one of the very first things in P25 was to eliminate probationary people. That's just right out of the manifesto. So here's our fact sheet from January 22nd. We've got President Donald J. Trump protects the states and the American people by closing the border to illegals via proclamation, which is a terrible way of putting that. So here's our proclamation. Like, what even are you talking about is my question. Like, what do you mean by proclamation? So let's just take a peek at that one right out the gate as well. Again, these titles are very, we've got a lot of propaganda coming in hot here. So let's take a look here. So this is the border one, guaranteeing the state's protection against invasion. And that's questionable. Today, President Trump signed an executive order that suspends the physical entry of aliens engaged in an invasion of the United States through the southern borders. So who is engaged in an invasion is the question. Again, I will go through and just pull out the legal problems. All right. Who's engaged in an invasion and what is an invasion? Those will need to be defined. Of the United States through the southern border. In joining the Union, the states agreed to surrender much of their sovereignty in exchange for the federal government's promise in Article 4. I don't know about that. Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution to protect each of the states against invasion. So I guess that's where they're getting that piece from. But again, we don't have a definitive term on what is an invasion. States such as the great state of Texas have asked the federal government for protection against invasion during the Biden administration, but it failed to protect them from millions of illegal aliens entering the United States, invading their communities, and imposing billions of dollars of costs upon the state and local governments, which, as we know, this is all propaganda here. The president has the authority under the Immigration and Nationality Act, as well as inherent authority under Article 2 of the Constitution to prevent the physical entry of illegal aliens into the United States across the southern border. So before I go too far, let me go ahead and pull up the Immigration and Nationality Act here. Immigration and Nationality Act. And let's just see what they're talking about here. Was done in 1952. The Immigration and Nationality Act was enacted in 1952, collected many provisions, and reorganized the structure of immigration law. The INA has been amended many times over the years, contains many of the most important provisions of immigration law. So it's in the United States Code, a collection of all the laws under Title 8. And so let's see here. So he's trying to, we've got 5 sections to that. So let's look here again. He's saying here that he has some kind of power. The president has the authority under the Immigration and Nationality Act, as well as inherent authority, which just means authority he thinks he has, but whatever, under Article 2. So let's see real quick here if the president is mentioned. So diplomatic, semi-diplomatic immunities, powers and duties of the Secretary of State, employment authorization, no. Worldwide allocation, asylum, really, that's interesting. Repealed inadmissible aliens, requirements, admission, travel control, I'm looking for where the president has any deportable aliens. Wow, this is written horribly here. Cancellation of removal, detention removal, control of alien crewmen. Seriously, what the heck is that? All right, so at this point, and I'm not going to go through all the sections, but I am going to say I've got questions. I've got questions about that act and the amount of power the president actually has in that act, because I'm not really sure that this is correct. So we'll have to look that up. To prevent the physical entry of illegal aliens into the United States, right? So next up, direction to immediately repel, repatriate, and remove illegal aliens involved in an invasion. Again, where is our definition here of invasion? Is invasion in that act? Let me look up the real quick, the definition, if they've got a definition here. So we're going to close this, and I'm going to take a look, general provisions, and I'm going to go to definitions just real quick, everyone, and see if invasion is defined here. So let's see. Yikes. Definitions: border crossing, clerk of courts, crewmen, diplomatic visas, doctrine, foreign state, immigrants, residents. I don't see invasion in this particular set of definitions. All right, so that's going to be one of our big questions then, everybody, is what is this invasion that you're talking about? How are you defining that? All right, that's going to be the key to this piece of the executive order. All right, I'm going to pull that out. Here we go. You read the definition recently. There's a couple because, depending on which act and which law you're dealing with, they will have their own set of definitions, right? So I was just looking at the Immigration and Nationality Act for a definition and could not find one. I'll go through it more thoroughly later, but all right, through the exercise of his authority under the Immigration and Nationality Act and the Constitution of the United States, President Trump is authorizing and directing the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, and the Department of State to take all necessary action to immediately repel, repatriate, I'm not going to say it right, repatriate, remove illegal aliens across the southern border of the United States. So this is where I have to say again, this is not particularly useful legal language. He's authorizing, which means they didn't have the authority to help with immigration before, because that doesn't sound right, and directing, so he's telling them to take all necessary action, which again, I don't know how they're not doing this already. So he's basically saying, do your job, right? Repay tree rights. Oh no, my goodness. My goodness. He's using controversial word to create turmoil and cause people to lash out. Navy vet, that's exactly right. That is exactly right. Exactly what's going on here. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm just going to call that, we're just going to call that a loss for today. That particular word, we're going to call it a loss. But as you can see here, so he's like, whoa, they're invading us. Well, what does that even mean? We don't have a definition here. And I've got the authority under this act, which I don't see where his authority is. So I'll have to go through that. I have the authority to tell you what to do. And what I'm telling you to do is I'm telling you to take necessary actions for illegal immigration. Like, what? Okay. Through the exercise of his authority, President Trump has further restricted access to the provisions of the immigration laws that would enable any illegal alien involved in an invasion across the southern border of the United States to remain in the United States, such as asylum. This is worrisome here because this is somehow, I think, removing that asylum. Now, asylum is perfectly legal and appropriate where it occurs. So he's saying, well, forget it. That's off the table. So let's look again. Through the exercise of his authority, he has further restricted access to the provisions of the immigration laws. What does that mean? Has he removed immigration laws from the internet? Provisions of what does this even mean? I mean, seriously, if we're pulling apart pieces of law, let's say I'm restricting access to provisions of law. Well, I mean, how are you doing that? That would enable any illegal alien involved in an invasion across the southern border of the United States to remain in the United States, such as asylum. So he's saying here, I'm going to restrict access to any immigration laws that explain how you could remain in the United States. Like, what even is that? What even is that? They're arguing invasion is defined under the immigration section of Article 1 of the Constitution. Ooh, let's take a peek here and see. All right, here we go. Article 1. All right. Congress. You mean Article 2, maybe? Maybe we're talking about Article 2. Article 2? Where are we at? There's no invasion. Well, I mean, there really isn't. Let's just look at Article 2 here. I think, yeah, Article 1 is just like, we have a Congress. And Article 2, let's take a look here. All right, Section 1. The executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States of America. He shall hold his office during a term of 4 years, together with the vice president, chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. Lawfare article says it's Article 1. Okay, well, let's take a peek back. I mean, lawfare is amazing, so it's more likely I'm not finding it than that your source isn't good. We'll just clarify that, all right? Oh my gosh. All right, the Senate, Organization of Congress. We'll fast forward here. Powers granted to Congress, lay and levy taxes, and so on. Commerce. Rule of here we go, to establish a uniform rule of naturalization and uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies throughout the United States. So those are in the same sentence somehow. Money, punishment, post office, progress of science. So he did just put out a executive order saying we don't like science, but Congress does at least. So there's that. Keeping up and researching I know. It's a lot right now. Declare war, grant letters. And yeah, because I'm trying to think, there was there was an act that came out that said that the president can't declare certain things because it has to be up to Congress. So I'm wondering if that's part of that. Hold on, everybody. Rules, regulations, provided calling forth the militia. Here, this could be a piece of it. To provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. So I bet it is that. So it's Article 1, section 15 here. Let me make sure I got the right clause. Section 8, Clause 3. All right, Section 8, Clause 15. So that's interesting. To provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. So what they're saying here is that it's Congress's job to call forth the militia. Congress's job to suppress insurrection and repel invasions, not the president. Interesting. So arming the militia is what Congress does, reserving certain kinds of things to the states, appointment of officers, training the militia, exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever, and to make all the laws which shall be necessary and proper. So yeah, Article 4 as well. Okay, so that's very interesting, because I'm wondering if they're saying, this idea of an invasion, which again is not being defined in the Constitution, but that it's up to Congress, actually. It's not even up to the president. So let's take is arguing that Congress is not doing their job. Right. And if Congress doesn't do their job, then of course the president can step in. Said no one ever. That's not right at all. You don't get to do that. Charged with treason, felony, or other shall blah blah blah. Found in the state. Okay. All right. So, right. Again, this idea here of invasion is sketchy in the legal world. Very sketchy. And it looks like we could have some significant Article 1 questions going on here. Questions, and I just have to say, separation of power happens to be this U.S. Supreme Court's favorite thing to argue about. So there's also that. Promises kept. In 2024, Trump promised to seal the border on day 1. Okay, I'm not sure what that means. Oh, Brenda, thank you. Oh, he's dancing. As President Trump described in 2018, so why are we quoting an old speech? Illegal immigration affects the lives of all Americans. Illegal immigration hurts American workers, burden American taxpayers, undermines public safety. This is all propaganda and places enormous strain on local schools, hospitals, and communities in general, probably because they don't like seeing ICE coming in and smashing stuff, taking precious resources away from the poorest Americans who need them most, like are migrants. Illegal immigration costs our country billions and billions of dollars each year. And I will therefore take every lawful action at my disposal to address the crisis, and that's what we're going to do. So we have we have another piece of propaganda here. the big question, everybody, as we will see as we continue to go through these executive orders, is, he's got this big flashy title, and then he has undefined legal terminology that may or may not even be constitutional, and I'm leaning towards the not, pulling up a law that has not been decided. He can't just go in here and say, well, it's an inherent authority under Article 2. No. And then coming in and giving directions. And so you might say, well, what if all of this worked? Well, let's see then what he can tell people to do. He can authorize and direct the DHS, DOJ, and the Department of State to take necessary action, which they would do anyway. So he's just saying, I think you guys should do your job like you're already doing. So there's that. I'm not overwhelmed by this. I don't think that we're gonna have an issue. Haven't taken anything. Well, right. Right. And anyone who does any research knows that too. About to be, well, yeesh, we'll see. So I'm not overly concerned about this particular one, everyone. Again, the language I think is meant to scare everybody as opposed to actually do anything. Yeah, that's their jobs. Exactly. So he's like, I just want everyone to know that I'm telling people to do their job because I promised that I would use this language. And it's like, all right, whatever, man. So there's that. He wants to chip away. And that is what, yes, of course. And he's trying to. Publicity stunt, yes. And I think as we go through more of these, everyone, you'll see how much of a publicity stunt it is. Because again, people will read that title and then be like, oh no, what's going to happen? And then they read later and they're like, he's just telling people to do the job that they already are supposed to be doing. Oh, all right. I got a mandate from the American people to mandate. Oh my gosh. Genius. All right. So again, we're all the way back at the beginning here where he just had gotten elected. All right. So, well, I don't know. Actually, this looks like yesterday. So January 22nd. So strike that from the record. Let's start over again. Oh my gosh. Can he claim that we are being invaded and claim a national emergency and have like added powers? Well, here's the deal. If you're going to declare a national emergency, you have to follow the law that allows you to do that. And under the law, we've got to have a situation where there's like some kind of a natural disaster, or that there's like some kind of invasion, or a country that we're at war with has come over to try to harm us. So, the language of the authority for declaring a national emergency is not matching up here with what he's doing. And that drives me bonkers. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. What? Because I had already done a couple of posts on this before, right? And the big piece here to remember is if it's starting to look like the military is taking over the authority in the area from the locals, then that's kind of what we're looking at for the legal piece of it. But they're not supposed to do that under the Passe Comodaba case. Sorry about that. Oh my gosh. Okay, National Emergencies Act. Hold on, everybody. I'm going to pull it up. We got to go back to the beginning here. National Emergencies Act. Oh my gosh. It takes so much time looking up all of this stuff. And I think that's part of it. I think he's trying to clog up the whole system. Oh my gosh. All right. Termination, declaration of future national. Okay, here we go, everybody. Here we go. With respect to acts of Congress authorizing the exercise during a period of national emergency or any special or extraordinary power, the president's authorized to declare such national emergency. So hold on. With respect to acts of Congress authorizing the exercise, all right? During the period of a national emergency of any special or extraordinary power, the president's authorized to declare such national emergency. Such proclamation shall immediately be transmitted to the Congress and published in the Federal Register. I've not seen anything come out of Congress for that. Subsection B, any provision of law conferring powers and authorities to be exercised during a national emergency shall be effective and remain in effect, one, only when the president, in accordance with subsection A that we just read through, specifically declares a national emergency, or two, only in accordance with this chapter. No law enacted after September 14th of 1976 shall supersede this. So that's what I thought. Hold on here. So we can have national emergencies, but Congress needs to be involved. And I don't remember Congress being involved here. Yeah, well, martial law, again, we got to be careful when we use the term martial law, because martial law just simply means that the military has taken over the administration of law. So they've taken over the courts, they've taken over all law enforcement pieces. All of that has to be taken over by the military in order to have martial law in place. The biggest hurdle for anyone in order to kind of put something like martial law into place is suspending the right of habeas corpus. So if we see something come down that says habeas corpus is no longer going to work, meaning you have no right to be heard in front of a judge, that's what our martial law looks like over here. Yeah, no definition. Wants us to accept it and not challenge it. Exactly, Navy Vet. Exactly. Because here it's like you can say whatever you want to say, but that doesn't mean that it's legal. And it's certainly, I didn't hear anything from Congress. And it's clear that Congress needs to be involved in a national emergency to have this at play. So he's claiming here that he has the authority, and I don't believe so. I don't believe he actually does. Writ of habeas corpus suspend. Right, that would have to be suspended. In order for it to come in. Yeah. Has to be a clear and present danger. Well, peace, yeah. I mean, there's requirements. You can't just put it in an executive order and sign it, right? Who will challenge him? So, Jenny, I'm glad you asked, because again, I bring you back to the fact that we have lawsuits already filed. We have lawsuits filed, and we already have a judge who has said, this is ridiculous. Not only is this ridiculous, but the attorneys writing this should have known better, and it was out of line. Yeah, this will be definitely the era of a million lawsuits. So let's take a look at this one too, okay? So we've got this national emergency. Let's see what he's saying on how he thinks he has the power and authority here. So here was the one we just went through. Protects the states. So he's protecting the states and the American people. God, these executive orders are just a mess. By closing the borders. So the big thing is he's wanting to close the border, although technically, again, I remind you, everyone, where in here does it say he's closing the border? Can we just take a moment and think about that? Because here he's saying, oh, I'm guaranteeing states protection against invasion, so that we're suspending the physical entry of aliens engaged in an invasion. Well, duh. I mean, right? So that's it. And down here, he's talking about what he wants these executive powers to do, like Homeland Security. And then over here is just a piece of a speech he gives. So, I mean, where is the border? Where's the border getting closed? This is absolutely just a scare technique here. Does everyone see that? Doesn't he have to get the state's permission? Well, I mean, yeah, that's why we got a problem. Invasion makes him sound like a militia. It does. And it also, if you just use that word, he may think it triggers some further laws, but it doesn't. What about the price of eggs? You know, I was asking myself that very question today. I really was. I was thinking, like, are eggs cheaper over the border? And that was my question that kept going around in my head. All right, so this, whatever, meh, that's what to say about that. All right, declares a national emergency at the southern border. So let's take a look and see what kind of power that he's using to make this declaration. All right. Invoking national emergency. Today, President whatever signed an executive order invoking the National Emergencies Act regarding the crisis at the southern border of the United States. Again, I have this pulled up on my computer. Let me just go grab it. I just printed it. 1 second, everybody. Okay, here it is. This is the declaration of future national emergencies here by the president. And it says again, with respects to acts of Congress authorizing the exercise during the period of a national emergency. So this is the key. We don't have any congressional stuff here that's been going on. Haven't seen you forever. Oh, I know. I had to move over. All right, so this is questionable here. Regarding the crisis at the southern border of the United States, the executive order declares a national emergency at the southern border following 40 years of record-shattering illegal immigration into the U.S. It directs the Secretary of Defense to deploy additional personnel to the border. I didn't see that. Including members of the armed forces and the National Guard. Additionally, it directs the Secretaries of Defense and Homeland Security to finish the wall along the southern border and ensure that DHS has all the flexibility it needs to operate air missions near the border. Well, I haven't read that order that he's speaking of here. Yeah, so I don't know about that. Taking back control. For the past 4 years, federal government has abdicated its responsibility to enforce the border, resulting in catastrophic immigration crisis in the United States. This is known as propaganda. When states like Texas took steps to prevent illegal crossings into their state, the federal government sought to stop them by cutting down their barriers. That's just a human rights violation. A record-shattering 8.7 million encounters. Again, where's your source on that, man? Here, overwhelming border resources, which they're always overwhelmed, which means we all know they need more resources, right? So this is pretty clear. Untold hundreds of thousands of children being trafficked, roughly 550,000 unaccompanied alien children have been encountered at the border. Fentanyl, other drugs are pouring into I just can't even read this, everybody. It's such propaganda. So this is he's just saying Americans 18 to 45 who have problems with fentanyl, it's because of the southern border. More of a plan than it did. Exactly. I agree. And it has led to murders of innocent Americans like Laken Riley. Now, rumor has it too that I believe it's this one where her family has said, we don't want you to use her name in here. Said the fellow himself. I know, all I can think of is, what about the ones that were involved with Jeffrey Epstein? I mean, that's what I'm thinking of right now. All right, building on past success in a dire situation, it's past time for the government to act. All right. First declared an emergency at the southern border on February 15th of 2019. All right, so let's note that for a minute. He's already declared an emergency in 2019. So we're like 2025 now. So that's 6 years later with an emergency declaration already there. So, I'm not sure how much that's going to do. Right. Well, Amy, I'm not going to say, everyone, I think this is something people just forget about. I'm not going to say that people are not harmed by people coming into this country without proper paperwork, without going through the proper procedures. And I'm not going to say every single one of them is going to be fine and not harm people because, people are people. Some people do really bad things. Other people do not. It doesn't matter if you've got your paperwork sorted or not. What matters is if you're a good person or not. So, they're like, well, they're coming over here to commit crimes. Like some people are, although the majority of crimes are committed by homegrown people. So it's, like what did he do to stop it before that was not constitutional? Well, in 2019, that I'm not sure about. That I cannot remember. But let's take a look. February 3rd. So this was a year later after 2019, following the at the time historic surge of illegal aliens in 2018. Trump declared a national emergency and successfully reduced the number of people seeking to enter the country illegally. In 24, he promised to declare an emergency to secure the border and use military where necessary to protect Americans from foreign threats. This executive order will allow the government to gain operational control of the border, combat the cartels, and secure our nation. So, again, I don't even know what this means. As Trump described in 2018, illegal immigration affects the lives of all Americans, hurts Americans, and this is the exact same phrase. Hold on here, everybody. Oh my goodness gracious. So this is the first, this is one order here, all right? And look at this language. It's the same language. Do you see that? This is the same language. They're just using this quote and they cut and pasted it into this piece. Does everyone? Yeah. I mean, come on. Is this the only quote that you have? I'm just asking for a friend. So we'll keep moving on from there. Like, who wrote this stuff? You need a better writer. Get somebody else in there, man. That editing. All right. And then this was one that we did go over already. So the cost of living, this was like, oh, all right, the families are going to defeat the cost of living. And then the more we looked into it, the more we saw, well, he's not actually doing anything. This is what he's doing in this executive order. He's ordering all federal agencies to untangle the American economy from Biden constraints and improve affordability of necessary goods and services and increase the prosperity of American workers. I'm sure they're going to do that as quickly as possible on top of what they do all the time. They're like, I'm already putting in a 12-hour day squeezed into 8 hours where I don't get paid on my lunch break. But let me go ahead and solve the recession issues. We reduce the cost of eggs in here. Oh my goodness gracious. All right, moving on. Hello, Desert Skies. Good to see you. All right, so let's take a look at this. This is the nominations transmitted to the Senate. We'll kind of go, I'm just going to flip because we've really only got one page. And it's just a list of various people who have resigned here. So there's that. Next, rights and merit-based opportunity by ending illegal DEI. So this is the big one that everyone's talking about, where we've got eliminations from previous orders going on here that is saying any kind of equality, we're not doing it. All right. Protecting civil rights and expanding individual opportunity. And I have gone through this already before, but what he's trying to do, he's trying to say the radical DEI preferencing. So we could also look at that as any kind of affirmative action or hinting at affirmative action if we're kind of going old school with it. And we went through all of this here, and he's setting out what's in Project 2025. He said he would, and that's what he's doing. So if you're looking for the executive order regarding civil rights, this is going to be one that you want. So you can screenshot that if you want. But this is the name here. We've got a briefing and statements fact sheet here. So again, I don't have the signed numbered executive orders. This is kind of the best I can get. Fact sheet, President Trump ends DEI madness, like that's a trigger word, and restores excellence and safety within the Federal Aviation Administration. Ooh, that's exciting. All right, here we go. Flights should be supervised by the best employees. President Trump has signed a presidential memorandum terminating a Biden administration Federal Aviation Administration hiring policy that prioritized diversity, equity, and inclusion over safety and efficiency. Now, I'm not sure. I think you can have both, actually. I think both are possible. This presidential memorandum orders the Secretary of Transportation and the FAA administrator to immediately stop Biden's DEI hiring programs and return to non discriminatory merit based hiring, which they would say is what we're doing. You dingleberry. It really is. It really is. Everything is based on merit. Can you imagine someone saying, well, you're not qualified, you don't even know how to fly a plane, but you're a woman, so we'll just hire you. Like, what do you think happens? Again, a lot of this comes from the people around Mr. Trump and Mr. Trump who've never held a real job before. I think that's really it. You've not had a real job. All right. It also requires the FAA administrator to review the past performance and performance standards of all FAA employees in critical safety positions and make clear that any individual who fails to demonstrate adequate capability is replaced by someone who will ensure Americans' flight safety and efficiency. So this is the moment where I say, I think we've got some micromanagement going on here. Let me get this straight. You want to come in and tell the FAA what they need to look for in their own employees. So that happens. My goodness. Millions of Americans rely on safe, timely air travel every day. Safety and competence should be the only job criteria for FAA employees. Yet the Biden administration violated the public trust as well as the law by prioritizing illegal DEI hiring. So, oh my gosh, that's incorrect. That's not how that works. Forget about the air traffic controller. I know. Oh, that's a good point, Navy Vet. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. Be hired on the basis of, should not be able to be hired on, oh, they're gone. Oh my gosh. Resume sounded almost over. She is overqualified for the Supreme Court. Yeah, they're handsome. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm more concerned about private airline stuff, or who was the guy that sent the people up to space that got stuck up there for months? I mean, they're going to have to start making a potato farm pretty soon. But that was a private entity. That was not government. I've never been hired for being a woman. Oh! It's weird how they don't just say, well, we're hiring you because you have no skills, but you are a woman. So thank you. You'll be our token woman here in this situation. Was that Elon or SpaceX? I don't know, right? Saving of TikTok is setting a precedent of him defying Congress. I'm not sure if it's defying Congress that's his point, although according to the executive order, I don't even know how he's doing what he's doing at this point. I guess no one's caught the squeaky wheel. But on the other hand, this is a situation where it's really troublesome, where you have someone like Mr. Trump in the running to actually take control over something like TikTok. I mean, that's smacking of Germany right there. That's yeah. So that's why I don't go over there now. I'm like, oh, this place makes me feel creepy. I don't want to be there. Hinky business, correct. As director of the oh my gosh, that's funny. Oh my gosh, and yet could be true. Here we go, everyone. Sorry, diving back in. Every day, more than 45,000 flights and 2.9 million airline passengers traveling for work or fun or to visit friendly and family and trust their lives to the FAA. I don't know. It'd be nice if he could cite a source, but whatever, Almost unbelievably, as a diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative, the Biden FAA specifically recruited and hired individuals with severe intellectual disabilities? What? Oh my gosh, dude, you better have some information to back this up. Severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric issues, and complete paralysis over other individuals who sought work for the FAA. Whoa, that's really, it sounds like a, yeah. But also, let's just put this out there. If you are someone with a disability, you can work. You are just limited. It's a continuum, right? So if the FAA hired someone to be in a position where they're not like telling planes where to land, there's a lot of support work out there. In fact, like 85% of most agencies, it's the support people on the ground rather than the soldiers in the field. And there can be some appropriate situations. So this is terribly discriminatory. Exactly, and also be people. I know, right, right. Right. Oh my gosh, can work exactly right. That's what I'm saying, Sarah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I want evidence. I agree. I agree. This is pretty awful. We're gonna flag this so that I can fact check it because that's a pretty awful thing to just put out there. I mean, the implication again is that they were hired just because of something rather than being qualified to do something. And just because you may have a severe intellectual disability doesn't mean you can't work. And in fact, let me just put it to you like this. They're saying, well, we don't want to support people. We want people to go out and get jobs, or else you're not going to get any benefits, right? So, like, what are they supposed to do? Take away all the benefits and say, go get a job. And then they get a job and they say, well, you shouldn't be able to have this job. So, I mean, come on, people. All right. President Trump here is immediately terminating this illegal and dangerous program and requiring that all FAA hiring be solely on ensuring the safety of airline passengers and overall job excellence. Middle Finger Project 2025, so true. Work for a control agency that only worked with people with disabilities and tech jobs. It was great. Well, yeah, of course. I mean, again, who said it? Somebody in the chat said, people with disabilities are still people. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Oh my goodness gracious. All right. Man, it seems like these people haven't read the Bible before. All right. And I'm just saying the New Testament, all right? I'm just putting that out there. On January 11th of 2023, 2 weeks after a major holiday airline crisis, what? An FAA system outage caused by employees' missteps grounded all flights for the first time since 9/11. I'm still a person. Exactly. Just limited spoons. That's right. Come on, man. An illustration of the importance of the FAA competence. So this is true, right? Everyone remember that when we had some systems going down. But I'm not sure that that's the only thing. I mean, there were several issues going on. And if you want to talk about flight issues, I mean, didn't somebody try to open a door on a flight and another one, like all the air masks came down? I know what year, that's a good question. Can't see the red words in the New Testament. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Spirit was still flying. Oh my gosh, Lisa, that's, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. Oh my gosh, I remember hearing, but I forgot about it. Yeah. I apologize. I usually don't drop the B word, but every once in a while, especially because we've got this bishop situation where she was like, dude, be kind. And he's like, well, I'm gonna end you, Bishop. What? Oh my goodness. All right, moving on. So yeah, we've got a lot of stuff in here that happened. Fulfilling promise to end illegal discrimination and bring back common sense. This presidential memorandum builds on Trump's day one executive order ending the Biden administration's illegal and immoral DEI discrimination programs. So, again, I think this follows up with a lot of the questions regarding anti-discrimination laws that are being pinged all over the place in the media. That's what they're talking about here. In his inaugural address, President Trump promised we will forge a society that's colorblind and merit-based. Uh-huh. President Trump stated in his January 20th of 2025 executive order, why are you taking, wait a minute, when was this passed? This was like, dude. So they just wrote, okay, this was January 22nd. So they're quoting stuff from 2 days ago. Executive order on ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs and preferencing. Quote, Americans deserve a government committed to serving every person with equal dignity. That's not true. And respect, and to expending precious taxpayer resources only on making America great. Nothing else, only making America great, according to this guy, apparently. All right, so that's a lot there. Joint executive order requiring Highland. Oh, well, yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Casey, yes. My goodness. All right, so. Oh my gosh, we made it to our next piece. Let's keep going here because I would like to kind of flesh out this DEI situation a little bit more. All right, if everyone's okay with that. Should always have been right. Exactly. It's like just because you are, disabled doesn't mean that you are unqualified. That's just awful. His ineptitude. I agree, Brenda. I wholeheartedly agree with that completely. A lot of creators are coming to YouTube. True. Hopefully everyone has been able to find their people over here. For those of us that have come over here, and I'm having so much fun over here. I can't even imagine going back. There have been a couple times where I've hopped on to see other people's lives, and something weird's going on over there, everybody. Weird stuff going on over there. Never going back. That's what I'm saying, John. I got you. I got you. Yeah, I feel the same. It's like there's kind of this creep factor now over there where I'm like, I don't know. Weird stuff going on. Yeah, weird stuff. Here we go. Ending illegal discrimination and restoring merit-based opportunity. So this is the one that is really at the heart of the getting rid of any kind of anti-discrimination stuff. Hawk was saying the same thing. Yeah, exactly. And, we've been feeling it for a couple of months, but then I think it really just all came crashing down. Right. Yeah, it's been off over there. I agree, Kat. I agree completely. It's been a little questionable. It's still, I'm not saying if people want to go over there and do whatever it is you want to do. I'm just saying for me, it's getting a little hanky. Here we go. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution. What? You were. And the laws of the United States of America, it's hereby ordered. All right, so we have a direct order. Let's see. Section 1, purpose. Long-standing federal civil rights laws protect individual Americans from discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. And we all know what's missing here, right? We all know what's missing here, which is any of our gender discrimination issues. These civil rights protections serve as a bedrock supporting equality of opportunity for all Americans. As president, I have a solemn duty to ensure that these laws are in force for the benefit of all Americans. Yet today, roughly 60 years after the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, critical and influential institutions of American society, including the federal government, major corporations, financial institutions, the medical industry, large commercial airlines, law enforcement agencies, and institutions of higher education have adopted and actively used dangerous, demeaning, and immoral race and sex-based preferences under the guise of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion, or diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility that can violate the civil rights laws of this nation. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Illegal DEI and DEIA policies not only violate the text and spirit of our longstanding federal civil rights laws, they also undermine our national unity as they deny, discredit, and undermine the traditional American values of hard work, excellence, and individual achievement in favor of an unlawful, corrosive, and pernicious identity-based spoils system. That's offensive. Yikes. Hardworking Americans who deserve a shot at the American dream should not be stigmatized, demeaned, or shut out of opportunities because of their race or sex. I agree with that. These illegal DEI and DEIA policies also threaten the safety of American men, women, and children across the nation by diminishing the importance of individual merit, aptitude, hard work, and determination when selecting people for jobs and services in key sectors of American society, including all levels of government and the medical, aviation, and law enforcement communities. Wow, everybody, dang. I mean, again, like, what? Where are you working? Yet, in case after tragic case, the American people have witnessed firsthand the disastrous consequences of illegal, pernicious, and discrimination that has prioritized how people were born instead of what they're capable of doing. Wow. Yeah, wow. The federal government is charged with enforcing our civil rights laws. True. The purpose of this order is to ensure that it does so by ending illegal preferences and discrimination. So, let me just clarify something here. Illegal preferences, like even in the original civil rights laws, they said you cannot have illegal preferences. It's just you can't pick one group over another. You have to look at all of the groups and discrimination. This also was illegal. There is no law that says go ahead and discriminate based off of diversity. There's no law that says that. This isn't even a thing. That's not a thing. And if again you worked in the real world, you may know that. Section 2 policy is the policy of the United States to protect the civil rights of all Americans and to promote individual initiative, excellence, and hard work. So we're protecting all the civil rights. I therefore order all executive departments and agencies to terminate all discriminatory and illegal preferences, mandates, policies, programs, activities, guidance, regulations, enforcement actions, consent orders, and requirements. I further order all agencies to enforce our long-standing civil rights laws and to combat illegal private sector DEI preferences, mandates, policies, programs, and activities. Okay. Still just like, what? This is crazy. This is just, ugh. I'm trying to figure out exactly where he's coming from here. I mean, all right. Section 3. I don't think I'm going to be able to figure it out. I'm not going to be able to figure it out, everybody, because it's crazy. Section 3, terminating illegal discrimination in the federal government, which, for me, I think that's great. Go ahead, terminate illegal discrimination. A, the following executive actions are hereby revoked. And so this is where we get into a lot of questions on what's happening here. Get some time. I need a little time to get me through this next piece, everybody. Oh my gosh. Oh dear, oh dear. All right, here we go. We're going to tang it up here. Executive Order 1289-8, 1994. Federal actions to address environmental justice in minority populations and low-income populations. Gone. Next executive order, August 8th of 2011. Establishing a coordinated government-wide initiative to promote diversity and inclusion in the federal workforce. That's gone. July 21st, 2014, further amendments to Executive Order here, Equal Employment Opportunity in the federal government, and Executive Order here, Employment Opportunity. So it's looking like this is what they've been going on about here, are these executive orders that have been revoked. So I've not read through all of these either, but keep in mind again, everybody, when we're talking about executive orders, we're talking about, federal workplace kinds of promotions and various things. So they're not saying we're getting rid of equal employment opportunity here, but we're getting rid of any kind of support or acknowledgement or requests that were put into that agency at this point. 47's E of flying in the back. Yeah, actually, everybody. Yes, that's possible. I keep it to myself right now, but the Hubs is not happy. Presidential memorandum in 2016, and this one's promoting diversity and inclusion in national security workforce. Gone. The federal contracting process shall be streamlined to enhance speed and efficiency, reduce costs, and require federal contractors and subcontractors to comply with our civil rights laws. Accordingly, Executive Order 1124-6, September 24th of 1965, is hereby revoked. Now, let me just pull this executive order up, everybody, all right? If anything is getting yanked from 1965, it's worrisome. It's absolutely worrisome. Ooh. So let me pull up that executive order and see what it says here. Okay. Oops. Here we go. 11246. Okay. Yeah. So that, everyone, is exactly what we were talking about here. This is the, not Johnson. Was it Johnson? Oh, my brain's already kerfuffled, everyone. We're struggling here. Oh, hold on just a second. Yeah, LBJ, thank you so much, Willie B. I appreciate it. The equal employment opportunity, right? So non-discrimination in government employment, non-discrimination in employment by government contractors and subcontractors. So this is basically setting out, hey, let's try to not discriminate because we are the federal government. Now, just to pull this whole thing, all right, well, there you have it. So this is the piece, everyone, that has people saying like, what is going on here? And it came out of the list of revocations. So let's flip and see what else we have. Yeah, let's see what else we have here. The Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs within the Department of Labor shall immediately cease promoting diversity, so no promotion of that, holding federal contractors and subcontractors responsible for taking affirmative action, allowing or encouraging federal contractors and subcontractors to engage in workforce balancing based on race, color, sex, sexual preference, religion, or national origin. All right, and then in accordance with Executive Order 1327-9, December 12th of 2002, equal protections of the laws for faith-based and community organizations. The employment, procurement, and contracting practices of the federal contractors and subcontractors shall not consider race, color, sex, sexual preference, religion, or national origin in ways that violate the nation's civil rights laws. Like this again, everybody, I don't know that we need to say this. This is already the law. This is already what employers have to do. They're not allowed to discriminate on that. So, all right. The head of each agency shall include in every contract or grant award a term requiring the contractual counterparty to grant recipient to agree that it's in compliance in all respects with all applicable federal anti-discrimination laws, is material to the government's payment decisions for purposes of section 3729. So here, and this one is a huge question. All right, this is a huge question. They're saying you need to vow to follow our rules or we're not going to give you any money. That, I believe, is just clearly unconstitutional. That's clearly incorrect. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right, right. So next up we've got the Director of the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, with the assistance of the Attorney General, as requested, shall review and revise as appropriate all government-wide processes, directives, and guidance. So I'm going to pause here for a second and say, when he's setting these out, or, well, I mean, he's not writing them, but the people that are setting these out are saying we want all of the government agencies to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we have specific agencies that we want to do 1 through 5. And I keep thinking to myself, does he have no idea that they are actually working too? Like their job amounts, or the amount of work that they have to do on the daily, has not decreased. And now he's adding in these huge requests of them for like redesigning the whole thing. So like they have spare time. You know what I mean? I'm finding it frustrating that he thinks that federal employees are just sitting around eating bonbons, like waiting for him to tell them what to do. Like these people work their keisters off. You know what I mean? It's very frustrating for me to see that. I'm frustrated. Like he has no idea. Exactly. He doesn't know work. I know. Well, and it's just unfortunate because he's really diminishing how important these employees are, and then just giving a whole bunch more work to them. And if they don't do it, like what's gonna be the problem? They proposed a new amendment to allow Trump to run for a third term. Well, that's what it would take. It would take a constitutional amendment passed by a super majority of Congress, which would not ever happen at this point. There is no super majority. There's barely a majority, and then 3/4 of the states, which would also not pass. So, I might send in a constitutional amendment too. Maybe I could send one in and be like, I have this constitutional amendment where, I don't know what it would be. I think probably term limits would be my first one. All right, I digress. Moving forward, here we go. Excise references to DEI and DEIA principles under whatever name they may appear, from federal acquisition, contracting grants, and financial assistance procedures, to streamline those procedures, improve speed and efficiency, lower costs, and comply with civil rights laws. And, right, and could run for a third term, then so could Obama. Yeah, I mean, that's just like, that's not in the cards. And that I can say pretty confidently. There's some things where I'm like, I'm not sure that that's that way anymore, but that one I'm pretty confident about. Here we go. Terminate all diversity, equity, and equitable decision making. Equitable deployment of financial and technical assistance, advancing equity, and like mandates, requirements, programs, or activities as appropriate. So that's just like, come on, man. Let's eliminate the requirement of being civil to other people. All right. Section 4, encouraging the private sector to end illegal DEI discrimination and preferences. Again, I don't know that you need to tell people to not do illegal things, like, except for you need to tell yourself that. Like, we want to tell the private sector to stop doing illegal things. Like, what? Come on, man. All right. The heads of all agencies, with the assistance of the Attorney General, because he's got nothing else to do, shall take all appropriate action with respect to the operations of their agencies to advance in the private sector the policy of individual initiative, excellence, and hard work identified in Section 2 of this order. B, to further inform and advise me so that my administration may formulate appropriate and effective civil rights policies. Because Mr. Trump is nothing if not a civil rights law writer. The Attorney General, within 120 days of this order, in consultation with the heads of relevant agencies in coordination. Seriously, these people are busy, man. With the director of OMB shall submit a report to the assistant to the president, who's also quite busy, for domestic policy, containing recommendations for enforcing federal civil rights laws and taking other appropriate measures to encourage the private sector to end illegal discrimination and preferences, including DEI. The report shall contain, wow, this is another micromanagement moment. The report shall contain a proposed strategic enforcement plan identifying 1, key sectors of concern within each agency's jurisdiction, 2, the most egregious and discriminatory DEI practitioners in each sector of concern, 3, a plan of specific steps or measures to deter DEI programs or principles. Man, he really doesn't like this DEI business. Oh my gosh. Oh goodness. Whether specifically dominated DEI or otherwise that constitute illegal discrimination or preferences. As a part of this plan, each agency shall identify up to 9 potential civil compliance investigations of publicly traded corporations. This is madness. Oh my gosh. Large non-profit corporations or associations, foundations with assets of $500 million or more, state and local bar and medical associations, and institutions of higher education with endowment over $1 billion. So, state and local bar medical associations, dude, there's like separation between state and federal government. Like, this is the state stuff. It's like asking the state for their voter records. Like, that's not right. You cannot do that. Yeah, exactly, Estelle. That's just exactly what I was thinking here. Yeah, in the private sector, right? So he's saying all of this should be coming out of the private sector. So not only am I dealing with the federal government, but I'm going into the private sector, which of course is not appropriate at all or legal. So what I would say is going to happen here is if he sends in his goons, because I kind of think of them as the guys with the baseball bats that go into the convenience store and they're like, hey, buddy, you didn't pay us your $250 for our protection this week. And then they start like breaking stuff. That's kind of how I feel about the people going to the states being like, you need to give us your medical association numbers. It's going to be very similar. Oh my gosh, this is so crazy. They want tax records. I know, yeah. I know. All right. Government overreach. Oh my gosh. All right, here we go. I gotta keep my head in the game, everybody. I'm struggling. Other strategies to encourage the private sector to end illegal, like if they're doing something illegal, that should already be done. DEI discrimination and preferences and comply with all federal civil rights laws. Like, don't do illegal stuff. All right, okay. But I learned it by watching you, Mr. Trump. It's the tang, everybody. Sorry. Number 5, litigation that would be potentially appropriate for federal lawsuits, intervention, and statements of interest. So he's asking them to propose litigation. And 6, potential regulatory action and sub-regulatory guidance. All right. Very interesting. Next, other actions. Within 120 days of this order, the Attorney General and Secretary of Education shall jointly issue guidance to all state and local educational agencies that receive federal funds, as well as all institutions of higher education that receive federal grants or participate in the federal student loan and assistance program under Title IV of the Higher Education Act. What? Regarding the measures and practices required to comply with students for fair admissions this is the affirmative action case again that the Supreme Court shot down last week here. Again, I'm like, the federal government's going to come in and tell our local school board what they want to do. Like, what's the federal government doing that they've got time to fly into my small area and talk to my school board? Severability. If any provision under this order or the application of any provision to any person or circumstance is held to be invalid, the remainder of this order and the application of its provisions to any other persons or circumstances shall not be affected. All right, so this, everybody, this is the moment when we need to get the red pen out. All right, red pen's out, because anytime you have to put this declaration in, it means some of the stuff that you're writing is not is not right. It's not going to pass. It's not legal. That's why you have this in there. So that's a big red flag for us, that they realize a lot of what they're saying here is absolutely not enforceable and not appropriate under the law. The worthless clause. Yeah, exactly right. Right. Section 7, scope. This order does not apply to lawful federal or private sector employment. Does not apply to lawful. So he's only talking about illegal. And if he's talking about illegal things, like, good luck, man. I don't even know how this would be enforced. I mean, if these are illegal acts, how would they go about investigating and enforcing them? Federal or private sector employment and contracting preferences for veterans of the United States, armed forces, or persons protected by the Randolph-Shepard Act. B, this order does not prevent state or local governments, federal contractors, or federally funded state and local educational agencies or institutions of higher education from engaging in First Amendment protected speech. It doesn't? All right, then. I guess it doesn't because he wrote it in this order. That's the reason why. Right. Oh my gosh. This order does not prohibit persons teaching at a federally funded institution of higher education as part of a larger course of academic instruction from advocating for, endorsing, or promoting the unlawful employment or contracting practices prohibited in this order. This is another moment of micromanagement where he's trying to set out the educational qualifications, I guess. General provisions. Nothing in this order shall be construed to impair or otherwise affect the authority granted by law to an executive department, agency, or the head thereof, or the functions of the director of the Office of Management and Budget relating to budgetary, administrative, or legislative proposals. This order shall be implemented consistent with applicable law and subject to the availability of appropriations. This order is not intended to and does not create any right, all right, so let's just note this here, or benefit, substantive or procedural, enforceable at law or in equity by any party against the United States, its departments, agencies, or entities, its officers, employees, or agents, or any other person. All right, and then that was signed. So this one was a big one. This took up a lot of time to go through and try to understand, because again, we've got this title saying DEI madness. So he's already introducing it as this is something bad or this is something wrong. And then restoring excellence and safety. Oh wait, let me flip past. I was going to say that's the one that we just read, that we've got these issues of what exactly are we talking about here, and then ending illegal discrimination and restoring merit-based opportunities. So that's the one that we just flipped through. I had my pages sticking together, but all of these have been revoked, including the Johnson one. And then he's saying we want to get rid of all traces of DEI, even in the private sector. We're ready to go. Yeah, my brain hurts too. This reminds me a little bit of King Henry VIII when he tried to get rid of everything that Anne Boleyn had that reminded people of her. It's like DEI right now is Anne Boleyn. Like, all the stuff's getting thrown away. All of the people that worked in this area are getting tossed. Like, no, we can't have any kind of remnants of people trying to not be discriminatory. Right. What does the price act? Right. So there are two different pieces here. We have the FAA over here, and then we have this overview of the DEI situation. Mm-hmm. Oh, goodness. Yeah, safety risk. Exactly. So let's take a look again at this. How did I get everything? Oh, I've got my papers mixed up here. Hold on. All right, here we go. Let's go back. Section 7 here, and then we should have section 2. I'm gonna come back over here, and right, fact sheet there. Oh, there we go, section 8. How did that get? I don't know. All right, hold on, everybody. Here we go. We got mixed up. So here's the last piece again. All right. So this order is not intended to and does not create any right or benefit, substantive or procedural, enforceable at law or in equity by any party against the United States, its departments, agencies, or entities, its officers, employees, or agents, or any other person. So it's not intended to create any kind of right that you would have or any kind of a benefit. And that's because if it were to, it would go outside the bounds of Article 2 of the Constitution. Like, he cannot make any law. So what he's saying is, but just so you know, these aren't laws and these are not benefits, because if I were to set them out where it was a benefit or a right, it would be invalid in the Constitution, because I'm not allowed to do that as the president. So does that make sense? I'm sorry, I forgot who had asked what the last part meant, but not just the oh my gosh, yeah, I don't know. Dodgeball movie. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Oh, one of the best movies of all time, for sure. And I don't say that lightly, everybody. Oh, all right. So, all right, we went through a couple of orders tonight. What are our overall thoughts, everyone? Do we have any questions, concerns about what's going on? Calling it Doge. Oh my gosh. Had a video on the Doge fragility earlier today. Oh, excellent. I love that. I think Midas Touch is actually doing a pretty good job right now, kind of tiptoeing through the minefields here. I think they're doing pretty good work over there, and I'm very impressed by that. This is what, when we have a kid trying to rule a nation, exactly, Navy vet. I mean, we all know he doesn't know any of this stuff. He hasn't read any of this. He doesn't know what any of it means. He doesn't know what agencies are even talking about, right? So they're just like, just sign it, it's fine. And he's like, well, where's my Diet Coke? And then I'll sign it. So that's really what's going on here. Yeah. So we just need to kind of, bob and weave around everyone and make sure we're not getting hurt by this. But also, I think it's important to raise the question, like, this isn't cool, man. You can't just be writing these executive orders that are not appropriate in an attempt, in my opinion, in an attempt to clog up the legal system and keep everybody busy running around explaining how these very simple executive orders are unconstitutional. Like, what are you doing? I feel like this is one of those diversion moments where they're like, hey, look over here, and then they're going to do stuff over there. So it's worrisome. Yeah, distraction, exactly. It's very worrisome. The orders he signed that were not meant to be showed was blank pages. Yeah, I mean, come on, malarkey, absolutely. Is it appropriate and legal for an attorney to advise a president to do illegal acts or to circumvent? No, it's not legal. And, I thought again today it was a great point when the judge that put the restraining order out on the birthright citizenship piece said, any good attorney, any decent bar licensed attorney would know better than to try to submit this crap. And I think that, I take that to heart. We've got this judge in the district that he's sitting in looking at this rubbish and just calling it out for what it is. The other thing too is there's been a lot of stuff going on with, I guess, Emil Bove. I don't know what he got promoted to, something something within the close group, and everyone's like, oh no, he's doing this and doing that, and all I can think of is like, all I hear is Judge Mershon yelling at you because you're a moron. That's all I hear. So I don't know what you're doing to destroy the company or the country. But I do know you got told to sit down. So, okay, deputy, really AG. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, again, like the deputy AG got smacked around a little bit for not being appropriate in court. Well, yeah, I mean, good luck. Yeah, so that's what I hang on to, everyone. I hang on to that. I also hang on to this right here. This still happens. This still happens here. This, yeah, so Mr. Clark, Mr. Eastman's probably one of the people in there dinking around with stuff. It's like, you know what? Look at this. Look at this. You're bad people. Sawyer's the solicitor janitor. Yeah, general. Like, can you imagine listening to him? I know. Yeah, can you imagine listening to him the whole time when he's arguing cases for the government? Like, he's going to have a hard time picking any case to argue anywhere. Anyway, where was the warning, Navy vet? I'm sorry. Warning, everybody. Warning, warning, warning. So we can't forget. Can't. Oh, he hasn't pardoned Rudy. Well, he can't. He can't pardon Rudy because Rudy's been charged with state crimes. State crimes and civil offenses cannot be pardoned. That's just not how it's working. So yeah, the mafia photo op. Sometimes too, I go back and I look at the testimony from Stormy Daniels. I just listen to. I'm like, what is she saying? Okay, and that really takes the edge off for me. I really need that. I really need it because that happened. I mean, who can forget going through and listening to that kind of discussion? It involves, this doofus here. Oh my gosh, I know. Okay, Judge. All right, I will. Let me write it down so I don't forget. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. So just there's a lot going on, and there's a lot. Oh, I know the filters, right? There's a lot going on, everybody, and I still have cases that I'm following here, but. I thought for the first few nights we go through these executive orders, but I think we've got a pretty good handle on how weak, I guess is what I would say, these executive orders are. Even though it seems like, well, civil rights are gone or whatever, these executive orders are weak. It's like, why didn't you write them in crayon, So I would say at this point, it's time to start moving into the cases and see how they're doing, right? So I will be picking that up, flying in the wind. Oh, I know. Oh, Brenda, that's a great one. Yeah, Cuddy's like, I think everybody was like, what happened here? What's going on? Should I be worried? Should I be afraid? Oh my gosh, I know. Okay, at the inauguration? Really? Oh my gosh, gross. Yeah. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. It's crazy, everybody. All right, so I will start to pick up on updating everybody on the cases. Next time I'm live, I probably will need to take tomorrow off for my voice, but I'll be back after that. And just look for me around that 7 o'clock Central Time or that 10 a.m. Central Time. I'm trying to make sure I post on the community tab as well if I'm going to be going live. So that's kind of the notice that I'm able to give everybody. And the next time I come back, of course, we'll go through any executive orders that I think are really worth looking at. and getting everybody updated on our trials, because our trial schedule, although Giuliani has made a deal, so his trial, of course, is not going, but there's plenty of stuff to go through. So there'll be plenty of cases to talk about. Well, you are very welcome, everybody. And thank you so much to the moderators, of course. Oh, Michelle, I totally understand. Oh, look, is that a penguin? Oh my gosh, really? Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, I mean, this has been a weird week, everyone. And it seems like today should be Friday, but alas, it's only Thursday. So, but we'll make it. Oh, let's put this away, everyone. We'll put that one away. We'll make it through. We'll be all right. We'll be hanging out again. So, most likely back again on Saturday, everyone. So, until then, take care. We'll see you soon.